Okay, so we're still giving this YouTube thing a try, and I don't know, I'm nervous. I wanted to actually talk about how I got started into solo traveling because there are so many people here that are new on my Instagram and whatnot, so I wanted to give kind of a full story. But you could also say that I'm kind of reflecting and going through my 20s because now it's February and I'm getting closer to my 30th birthday and I'm definitely having a panic attack. I mean, yeah, the last year and a half has been insane, but now that I am coming out of my full-time travel, figuring out what I want to do, coming back to like normal life, I'm processing and reflecting on my 20s and also trying to figure out what the heck is next. Because I'm having a hard time. I'm having a hard time figuring out my career and identity, but here goes. Here is how I started solo traveling and how this lifestyle took me by surprise and is something that I'm just eternally grateful for, but also just is so obsessed with. So it started when I was 18. I mean, I could argue that it started a lot earlier between me going back and forth to Pakistan as a kid because my parents immigrated here. So when I was younger, I think I had already been to Pakistan 10 or 12 times. So as a child, I don't remember any of this, but I was exposed. But then when I was 14, I did an exchange and I went to Europe for 2 weeks and I had to Paris, and I had someone from Paris come live with me for 2 weeks. And that was like my first cultural exchange, which is probably how I became an au pair. So after my first year of college, I went to go live in Spain as an au pair. And if you don't know what an au pair is, it means even exchange in French. And it is essentially a combination of like being a live-in nanny / tutor, and you go live with someone and their family and you take care of the kids. And I went to go do that in Madrid, Spain when I was 18, which was literally wild. I had a 6-year-old girl, a 5-year-old boy, and a 2-year-old boy that I took care of. And I lived 30 minutes outside of Madrid in a small suburb we lived in an apartment, and I stayed with the host family. I had been, during my finals, looking up au pair opportunities, and I started interviewing and talking, back then, Skyping with families off a website that was free and didn't require a background check. I know, wild. And I chatted with this family and they seemed really nice and loving and the kids were really cute. I couldn't believe that I opted to take care of 3 kids at the age of 18. Like, that's wild. And I went to go live with them for the whole summer and I didn't really make any money out of it. I got free accommodation, I was supposed to get free food. We'll talk about that more. If they went on vacation, I was supposed to go with them. And then I got 2 to 3 days off a week and I made 80 euros a week. For a college kid, I was like, I'm doing it for the experience. I had been working a lot in school, so I was like, why not? So I went to Spain and I told my parents, bought the ticket myself because I had been working, so I could afford to do so myself. I went and I told my parents that I was leaving 3 days after coming back home from college, and I showed them the ticket and I was like, if you don't want me to go, you can pay me for the ticket, because it was like $980. And my parents would never do that. So they didn't do that. They refused to drive me to the airport. I had to go figure it out myself. And I went for 3 months and our relationship was so rocky. They didn't speak to me literally for like 2 months while I was there. And then my 3rd month, my card got eaten in the ATM and I had no money and my parents refused to help me. They were like, you wanted to go, you figure it out. And this is a story of how I became super independent and got addicted to travel. Those 3 months were absolutely insane. I was an 18-year-old girl who had literally never lived outside of New York. And I don't think I had ever traveled like that. Yeah, so I went to go stay in a foreign country where I didn't really know the language. I knew a little bit of Spanish. And I took care of these kids. I would take one of them to school. The family was horrible, literally horrible. I was starving there all the time. They knew I didn't eat pork and they would eat pork or frozen food all the time. And she would give me the same portion as a 6-year-old and I would go hungry all the time. I had no privacy. They would walk into my room, which was their office. They would just barge in at 7 a.m. to go print something and I'd be sleeping. They didn't pay me my last 2 weeks, even though they were supposed to, and they didn't need me. They went off on vacation, didn't invite me. I honestly think they were racist. But I still had a good experience. You wanna know why? Because I discovered the Facebook group for au pairs, and I met all of these other young au pairs who were the same age as me there was one American girl and there was one Canadian girl that I really got close to. And we were like nannies on the loose, like in Madrid. I had not really gone out when I was in school. I went out, experienced nightlife. I would be out till like 5 a.m. I learned my independence. I would go to the park to go read. The cleaner at the nanny's house, or at the host family's house, saw how I was being treated, and she literally took me in. She took me out. She made me a meal. She was so sweet. She barely spoke English. She was from Peru. And this is when the cultural exchange started happening for me, because I was meeting people so quickly at lightning speed from all around the world, doing all sorts of things, backpacking. This is when I discovered hostels, and my life was changed. It was like college, but better. And it was so affordable to travel. Like, I couldn't believe how much I was paying to go to school and paying to eat something in New York, but in Spain, everything was affordable. And I fell in love with that lifestyle, and I fell in love with working hard, but then taking a break for 3 months and going to like immerse yourself in something completely different. Like, on the weekends, we would travel. We went to Barcelona, we went to Granada, we went to Sevilla. We would do all sorts of fun things, and it felt like my very own version of like Sex and the City without the sex, but just like a bunch of girls that are different from around the world, like running around Spain. And they were all working towards something. One was going to law school, one was like graduated. There was just so many opportunities that were unloading, and meeting expats that live there. It didn't even occur to me that like you could study abroad, or like Americans could live abroad, and you could just spend a year in Spain, learn Spanish, and live like this charming little life in Spain. And that's when I got addicted, and I knew that I could work during the school year, save money, and then work, and still use it as a resume booster, but also as a way to learn Spanish. Because when I came back, my Spanish was fire, and I continued to use Spanish and build on it. And I still am I would say I'm proud of my Spanish speaking skills. I can have a conversation with nearly anyone. Maybe the past and present tense will be wrong, but they can understand me, and I can mostly understand them. My Arabic, not the same way. But that's the beginning of how I started solo traveling, and I became an au pair again, and I found new ways to travel while saving money and being on a budget as a college student. And that's a wrap. Let me know what else you want to know about my travel journey. If there's anything you want to know about budget, being a solo traveler, the scariest thing that's ever happened to me, how I make friends as an introvert, anything, let me know. And if you could, please subscribe to this channel. Oh no, they're starting construction. Please subscribe to this channel. You can follow me on Instagram and TikTok, where I'm active more, but I'm trying to give YouTube a shot. Anyways, bye.